Everyone, so today I'm just going to be taking the Transformers Kingdom Commander class, Rodimus Prime. So here he is on this really cool turntable. I think he looks really cool in his vehicle mode, so that's actually where we will be starting this review. I'll be transforming him from his vehicle mode to his robot mode, of course showing all the details, the articulation, the accessories, and all that stuff. But this will be a two-part review, so in part 2 I will be taking at the trailer that is included in this set. I just thought I would separate the reviews because the trailer has a lot of features and details and a lot of stuff, and I just wanted to keep them separately so this review wouldn't be very long. So let's get right into it. So here we have Rodimus Prime in his vehicle mode. I think he looks absolutely amazing. Let's take a look at the details. So for this back section here, we have this really big fin, nice paneling detailing, looks really good, nice yellow color, and some orange in the middle. We do have a port and a tab there that is really used for later, so do stay tuned for that. We have a lot of really nice red and nice venting detailing, paneling detailing, looks really good. Some nice silver for the pipes here, which really cool. We do have 3 posts there, which will be coming into play later for the accessories, so that's pretty cool. For the front, some nice transparent blue plastic for the window or cockpit section. For the front, we do have some nice lights there. We do have the nice Autobot symbol and the classic flame hood there, which will of course become the chest in the robot mode. So very nice details, looks really nice. Some black for the wheels, of course. It does roll pretty well, but of course this is a cloth surface, so it does not roll as good as it could. If you had a flat surface, it would roll very good. So overall, really nice details. Let's get into how it connects to the trailer. So of course, I won't be showing any of the really features of the trailer. That will be in part 2, but I will show you how it connects and how it looks with the trailer attached to the vehicle mode. So let me just bring that out. So here we have the trailer, and what you're going to want to do is, there is this slot right there, and there is this tab right there, and that will just slide right into place. So you're going to want to align this little fin section with this little slot section, and that will just slide right into place. So just align that up, and you should hear a tab or a click, and that should be good. It is not the most secure connection, but you can roll it with it intact. Again, it doesn't roll the best on this cloth surface, but on a flat surface it will roll really good. So looks amazing. I really won't be taking in-depth look at the trailer in this part, but it connects very well. I do like how the pipes all align very flush and neat. That's really cool. So very nice. Let's get a quick vehicle comparison. So I'm just going to scoot him back a little bit. I will have to zoom out the camera as much as I can, because Rodimus Prime is a very big truck. Let's compare him with, of course, his predecessor, Optimus Prime. So just to show you, without Optimus Prime's trailer, Rodimus Prime really engulfs him. This is from the Earthrise line, not the Netflix one, Wave 1 Earthrise. So yeah, this vehicle mode is just huge, especially when attached with the trailer. So very cool having both Primes next to each other. Let's bring in the trailer to have the full Prime look. Let me just peg that right on there. There we go. So yeah, as you can see, Rodimus Prime is bigger, which it should be so, of course, because this one is significantly more expensive. I spent about $85. This one was a leader class, so about $50, maybe a little bit more, depending on where you bought it from. 2 very good figures. I do think probably Rodimus Prime's trailer is too big in my personal opinion. Of course, that's just my opinion. I think people are satisfied with the size of it. Yes, there is a lot of playability options, but with storage-wise on where you can put this in your collection, that has kind of stumped me a lot, because it is very big and very hard to just find a good place for. So that is a shame, but yes, overall, it is a pretty good trailer. I think it should be about the size of Optimus's, so yeah. But finally, having both Primes with each other is very cool. Very nice to have them next to each other, and it is kind of surprising how long it's taken to actually get a new Rodimus Prime remake, because they did make one in Power of the Primes, which was a while ago, which I actually never did get. So I do have the G1 Rodimus Prime. This is my second Rodimus Prime, so it is nice to finally get a new addition to the collection. So very cool. Let's just move Optimus Prime off to the side, and we'll take a look how all the accessories, collaborate with this vehicle mode. So I'm just going to disconnect the trailer here, just slide that out, and we're going to move that off to the side. So for accessory wise, first up we're going to take a look at all the Blastoise pieces. So this figure comes with a lot of Blastoise pieces. We have 3 of the same right here, which is actually kind of nice. You can have multiple uses for the same Blastoise piece. You can have one, connected to a bunch of others, one that's just alone, so it is nice for playability option wise. So very, very cool. These are the exact same sculpt as ones that came with Omega Supreme, just a different color. So very cool. And these next ones I'm about to show you are also ones that did come with Omega Supreme. So we have that long one right there. We do have these right here. So very, very cool. So as you can see, it comes with a ton of Blastoise pieces. We have this really cool long one. Nice blue. Very, very nice explosion and sculpting. Looks very, very cool. Of course, you could attach these really anywhere onto Rodimus Prime. Just have to have a port, and it will really be cool for stop motions and just picture wise. Very nice display action posing options. So very cool. Of course, you can just connect all these together to one really big explosion. So let's do that right now. So just get this really big one here. Just get this piece. Get this next one right here. You can get this very long big one. You can get this one right here. I did semi-do it out of order, but that's fine because, of course, this is completely customizable. I'm just going to show you how the instructions show how to do it. So just get this long one right there, and then you'll just get this short one to be at the little tip of the explosion. So yeah, again, completely customizable, but this is how they show it in the instructions. So that is kind of nice how you can have this really big explosion and these 2 ones on the side to just have small explosions, maybe on the end of his blaster or other things. So very cool. So let's move on to the rest of the accessories. Let's just move these off to the side, out of the way. So for the next ones, we have 2 identical smoke pieces, which do look pretty cool. So for these pieces, it's complicating because I do like them, how they attach and how they look for the car mode. Of course, they're like smoke, cars, they give off smoke, which is cool. So that will be a nice display option and pictures or stop motions for this figure. For the robot mode, that's my problem, because of course we all know it's Rodimus or Hot Rod. He has that nice, really cool flame decal on his chest, so he'll shoot out flames out of his pipes on the side of his arms. So I do think these should have been red. I think that would have made more sense, especially for the robot mode. It doesn't really make so much sense, in my opinion, for him to be shooting out smoke, because he never really did that in the movies or the shows or anything like that. So I don't think that makes the most sense for the robot mode. It does look very good in the vehicle mode, so you just really have to find which one you would rather prefer. I think maybe they could have given us 4 of these pieces, 2 that would be black and 2 that would be red, or they could have had a mix, like a black and red one. I don't know. Just a thought. So how these apply to the vehicle mode, there is these 3 posts on the pipes, and there is these 3 little areas there, or slots, and these will just tab right into place like that. Of course, there is another area on the other side. Just flip it around again, of course. Tab that into place, and there we have the very cool flame or smoke pieces attached on the back of Rodimus Prime. I think that looks really cool. Of course, you cannot do this feature whenever the trailer is attached. It does not work, so that's why I'm doing it right now. So very cool. I think it looks, again, very good in this form, but in the robot mode, I will show you what it looks like, but in my opinion, it does not look the best. So very nice option, very useful for stop motions, just taking pictures or display options. Very, very cool. So of course you can just detach these, and we'll take a look at the last few accessories. So the next one does not really apply to the vehicle mode at all. We have the Matrix of Leadership Blastoise piece. This piece is very similar to the one that came with the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. Of course, I think that one was rubber, and this one is solid plastic. Of course, I don't know. I don't have that 86 Hot Rod. I could be wrong, not sure, but you can attach it to the Matrix Leadership. I will show it, of course, when he's in the robot mode. Now, does not really do much. You can't really attach it anywhere. You can store it in the trailer, so do stay tuned for part 2, but for now, does not really apply anywhere right now. Does not have really a use. So, for these next 2 accessories, we have the really cool rifle, so you can get a Blastoise piece, of course, attach it to the end of it, so it looks like he's blasting at the Decepticons, firing at Galvatron. Very, very cool. So how this stores, you can, again, there's tons of ports on the trailer, so you can plug it in anywhere. For this area, you can fold this up by that hinge, and there is 2 posts, and there is 2 ports on this side. They're also on this side, so you can do it on either side, and you can just plug that into place. So very, very cool storage option. Not the best in my opinion. It's really just kind of slapping onto the side, but, you know, storage is storage, so you really can't complain. There is another way you can store it on top of the fin, which is my favorite of the two, but not the greatest. So really, you know, you gotta work with what you got. It is a hard, complex vehicle mode to store accessories, especially when there's so many. You know, there's a sword, there's tons of blaster pieces, you know, there's the rifle. So I do understand, you know, there's a lot of areas where it does limit what you can attach and not. So I do understand. So you can detach this, you can unfold it, and there is this port on top, and there is, of course, the peg of the rifle, and that just plugs right into place. I do think that looks pretty good. I think it looks better. Of course, you can again attach a blaster piece, so that will look really cool. I don't like how it kind of sticks out a lot. It even goes past the fin, so not the greatest there, but definitely my favorite between the two. So almost done with accessories, and that's why I said before showing them, you know, it comes with a tons of blaster pieces, tons of weapons, which is really cool. I do think it does make this figure worthwhile because, again, this figure is very expensive, but again, a really good figure. So for the last one, we have the sword. So overall, it is really good. Unfortunately, mine does have a little paint blotch here, so I'm not entirely sure how this happened or why this happened. I do have a theory. So as I showed you earlier, there is this smoke piece. So when I got this figure, they were all packaged in one big bundle with all the blaster pieces, the rifle, you know, the Matrix Leadership piece, and the, you know, item itself. And I think what happened was this rubbed against it, and when it was packaging, of course, it kind of rubbed off onto the sword, and that's how that happened. My other theory is that below the silver paint, the actual plastic is black itself. I could be wrong. Who knows? Let me know in the comments if you also have this sort of problem. Not the biggest deal because the other side is completely perfect, so whenever I display this figure, this is how the sword will be with the better side facing forward. If I wanted to, I could probably paint over it, but I really don't like customizing figures. I'm not really that kind of guy, but most people are okay with it, so if you have this sort of problem, you could just paint over it, or you could buy a loose one probably on eBay, which is what I might do. So pretty cool sword. So how this stores, you can flip this over, and there is two tabs right there, and as you can see, there is slots in the sword, so you can put this on either side. It does not matter. I'm going to put it on this side just because, like that, and that's how it stores. So this is good storage, but unfortunately, of course, it's on the bottom. So if you had it on a rough surface, like on wood or something like that, it could scratch up the sword's paint. So that is unfortunate. Of course, with this surface, it's cloth, so I'm not really worried about it getting scratched up at all. It still rolls pretty well, but there is some grab. There's not much, you know, it does kind of prevent it from rolling as well it should, which is unfortunate. So not, I would say, the best storage. There is kind of a you know, a minus there because the sword could get scratched up, and it does prevent it rolling as well as it should. So I probably won't be storing it there, but it is an option. I do think it is good. I think they should have just had more clearance between the ground and where the sword stores. So maybe that's for them to look at in the future if they ever go back to this mold, or whenever they make a new Rodimus, they should find a little bit better way to put the sword on the vehicle mode. So that's all the accessories. There is a lot of them. Storage overall is pretty good. Of course, there's a few mishaps, especially with the sword. That is a good accessory, but as you saw, it could get scratched up because it is very close to the surface. So I would be careful on what surface you put the vehicle mode on, and if the sword is underneath it or not. So that's pretty much it for accessories and all the storage. Let's get into transformation. So I will go slow because the transformation is a lot of steps. Let's get right into it. Now let's get into transformation. I will make sure to go a little bit slower because this transformation is a little bit more complex. There's a lot of steps, so I will make sure to go a little bit slower than usual. So let's get right into it. So first step, we're going to start the back. So you're just going to disconnect this little panel here. So how this is connected is there is a tab and there is a slot, and now there is a new tab, and you're just going to connect that panel right into place. Do the same thing on the other side. Just disconnect that, tab that into place. You're going to get this panel, rotate it around by that hinge, and that will just kind of stay there for now. I'm going to lower the camera a tad bit so you can see a little bit better. So now let's get into more of the transformations. So you're just going to disconnect this big pipe piece from this back section. So disconnect that. Go to the other side, do the exact same thing. Disconnect that section right there. And now let's do the legs. So the legs you're going to rotate around here. You're going to open up this section here. Disconnect that. Disconnect that. And then extend this whole assembly like that. So there you go. Disconnect the legs. Compress the wheel. If you don't, it will not be able to fit into that crevice right there. So compress the wheel, you just push in, just like that. And how this works is there is this slot, and the wheel will just fold right into place, and as you can see, it just fit and just filled in that cavity right there. So just bring that in. And then this panel will just overlap. It is supposed to tab into these slots right there. It does not really tab into place very well, but it's not super loose, so nothing too bad. So now you're just going to bring out the feet. Do the same thing on the other leg. Just bring out the foot. There you go. So the legs are pretty much complete. Now you're just going to rotate at the waist, just like that. So there you go. So very, very cool. Now, I would highly suggest to do the arms, then you can do the main really body torso section. So I'm just going to have them laid down for now because the legs, the arms are right here. So let's get right into it. So first up, you're going to just kind of rotate it so I can show you a little bit better. You can bring this panel by that hinge, and then you can rotate by the pipe pieces like that. So now, what you're going to want to do is you can get this little back piece here, use that hinge, and there is a slot and a slot, and there is a tab and a tab, and you'll just compress that into place, tab that in, and then tab that in. And now let's do the same thing on the other side. Just bring that panel out, rotate by the pipe piece. You can use this little back piece, use the hinge that like that, go to this side. And again, there is a slot and a slot, a tab here and a tab there. Compress that whole assembly, just like that. Just tab everything into place. And the arms are almost finished. You can now get this whole assembly and you can extend it. You don't extend it very much, as you can see it's a very tiny amount. It used to be that, now it's that, so just extend it. So there we go. And now what you're going to want to do is use the elbow joint just so you can have some more room. You can get your thumb, open up the tire, and as you can see there is a slot, and then there is a tab on this top piece right there. Bring it in and compress it. So there you go. Do the same thing on the other side. Get your nail, just open up the tire. Sometimes it can take a little bit of work to open it up fully. Rotate it around. There is that slot. There's a tab inside the tire. And compress it fully. Sometimes it might not always work. There we go. So there you go. And now, what we can do is make sure these little pieces are brought in. Hopefully they do not untab. Sometimes those pieces are a little bit loose, so I do apologize if I have to reconnect them. So now just bring this whole assembly down. And now what you're going to want to do is make sure there is enough clearance so you can rotate this whole assembly down. So you're going to rotate the camera up. You can hinge that down. Just make sure there's enough clearance to rotate this whole waist section around. So there we go. That's probably the hardest part I would say about this transformation, is really just getting enough room so you're able to rotate everything around. So now, very important, I would highly suggest to do this next step before you connect this headpiece to this back car piece. So now what you're going to want to do is, there is these tabs right here and here, and it will just tab right into this slot right there. So just hinge that, tab it into place. Sometimes it can get some work to get it in there. Sometimes it gets a little tough. There we go. Okay, so sometimes it's to get the right grip on it. There we go. There we go. So now do the same thing on the other side. There is that tab. There is a slot. You're just going to want to tab that into place like that. There we go. Do apologize for all the fiddling. It's sometimes a little bit hard to get a good grasp on it so it can actually tab into place. It's a very, very tight connection. So now we can really finish everything up. So you can just get this clip here, and that will just go right back into this little section right there. So just move that up, and this will just clip right into place like that. And now let's just do the last finishing touches. You can now go back here. There is a slot, there is a tab. Hinge that up and just align everything up into place. Tab that in. And there is Rodimus Prime fully completes in his robot mode. I think he looks really good. Let's just go. I'm just going to go off to the side and kind of neaten him up a little bit, and then we'll get into the accessories and how they incorporate into his robot mode. Of course, also the details and articulation. We have Rodimus Prime in his robot mode, and I think he looks just absolutely amazing. A lot of people say he's probably the best Kingdom figure so far. Of course, there's not that many more. I don't think he would be the best Kingdom figure. He is a very, very good figure. There's a few problems about him, which I will say in a little bit, but overall, he is a very, very good figure. Let's take a look at the details. So for the head sculpt, I think it looks absolutely amazing. Just really nice silver, very, very bright blue for the eyes, some red for the main helmet section, and some more silver for the big crest section on his forehead. Looks really good. For the arms, we have some black for the wheels, some red for the shoulders, some more of that silver for the pipes on his arms, and of course some gray for his hands. For his chest, the classic flaming big detail on his chest, nice Autobot symbol. Some yellow, of course, for the flames. For the crotch, we have a mixture of dark red and bright red. Looks very good. Some bright orange for the top of the legs. For the bottom part of the legs, we have some pretty much just black, really. There is a little bit of car kibble here and there, but nothing too bad. On the back, we have the big fin piece, or car piece there. Looks pretty good. So overall, really, really nice details. So overall, a pretty good figure. My only complaint really so far is just that the transformation could be smoother, and there's a few areas where the joints could be tighter. Also, with the connections, of course, when I was fiddling with it during the transformation, sometimes it can be annoying, as you saw, but overall, a very, very good figure. So let me show you how all the accessories are incorporated. So first off, we can just get his hand there, just open it up. He does have not fully articulated fingers, but very good articulated fingers. You know, normal deluxe classes, they're just a hand. There is no articulation, so pretty good for this figure. You can just get the sword, and this will just plug right into place. Sometimes it does take some force. There we go. And then you can, of course, just close the fingers around him, and now he has his sword in his hand, which does look very, very cool. So there we go. Of course, he does have a rifle also, so let me just open his hand and the other one. Get his rifle, just unfold that. And this peg will just slide right into place, and again, you can just collapse the fingers around. And yeah, sometimes he's a little hard to position because he's not always the most even and flat figure. Sometimes he kind of wobbles a little bit, so I could get him in probably a better position if I took enough time, but very cool. This is probably the most classic look you could do, his classic rifle. The sword isn't very common for him, but I think it's pretty cool. I do really like swords. If you're a long-time viewer of mine, you know I do. So, very cool. So, very, very nice. So, alternate storage, really the rifle, that's pretty much it. There is an alternate way you can store the sword, so let me show you that right now. I'm just going to get the rifle and put that off to the side. And the sword, of course, you can just take that out as well. You can go back here onto his little fin piece, and you can get this peg right there. Just get your finger, and you're going to want to push that forward. And you can get this post there, and that will go right into that port. Of course, you can have it facing down or up. Either way, you know, really it's up to your own personal preference. You can have it kind of straight down or to the side. I like to have it to the side like that. So, pretty good storage for the sword. There we go. And it does kind of see through to the front side of it, which is good. You can peek through there, which is good. So that's pretty much it for storage-wise for the sword. So the next accessories, of course, we do have the smoke/flame pieces. So I'm just going to close up the hands so they don't get in the way. We can get this little smoke piece, and it's pretty much the same way we did with the vehicle mode. You really just get these little posts there, or the posts on there, and the slots in there, and that'll just peg right into place. So that is a very cool look, but again, I do question if it makes any sense, because of course he's Rodimus Prime, so it really should be like flames, you know, fire shooting out, not smoke. Of course, you can just say it's fire, you know, just colored black, which I guess that makes sense. I guess I don't know. Use your creativity. It's, you know, yeah, you can do both, which is good. I think it would look pretty good if it was red. I really do wish they were red. I think probably there is maybe an upgrade kit out there where they have, you know, 3D printed of these, but it's red. I mean, honestly, I'd be fine if it was just a mixture of some red and black, you know, some fire and smoke. That would look really good. But, you know, pretty good, you know, cool posability and options with these accessories. Looks very, very good. So that's pretty much it for these pieces. I'm just going to take them off there. Just move these off to the side. So, of course, we have one last accessory to show off. It is the Matrix of Leadership. So how this is stored is you can just bring these pieces open and down, and there is the Matrix of Leadership. So that looks really, really cool. So you really just gotta get your finger and just get it out of there. Sometimes it can be a little tough to get out. And here it is. That looks really, really cool. Hard to fully show. So you can get this blaster piece. I'm not sure if this is entirely exactly how the Studio Series 1 did it, but you would just get these little two tabs here, and they will just kind of clip around this section just like that. They just go around the crystal section. And of course, if I tried hard enough, I could probably have him hold it, maybe. I've seen people do it, but it does take a considerable amount of time. But very, very cool blaster piece. I'm glad this was included because I was never going to get the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, so it is nice that this was included with it. I'm not sure if they're the exact same piece. I'm pretty sure in the Studio Series 1 it was rubbery plastic. This one's solid. Maybe the sculpt is also different. I'm not entirely sure. So, very, very cool. So that's pretty much it for accessories and all that stuff. Let me just kind of bring him back to his neutral position. You can just bring this back on there. Just tab this up. You can take the sword off. And we're going to get into articulation. So hopefully I can show it all. Of course, this figure is quite big and there's quite a lot of articulation in this figure. So for the head, it can rotate all the way around. Just very tight joints. It can look up. Can look down, so pretty good. For the arms, the fin does, you know, limit the articulation, so it can go up that far, it can go back that far, it can go out that far. There is a swivel, semi-swivel. You can't do it fully around because of the pipe piece, of course. There is an elbow bend to a very good degree. So for the hands, there is no thumb articulation. The finger has 2 points of articulation, and for these last 3 fingers, it is just one solid piece. They're all connected, and there is 2 hinges. There's a hinge there and a hinge there, so pretty good articulation. For the waist, there is not full 360 articulation because there is this little back piece, so to that far both ways. For the legs, you can do the semi-full splits. These little side panels do move, little side skirt pieces, but you cannot do the full splits. For more of the leg, he can kick forward, he can kick back, not super far, and there is a knee bend, a double joint knee bend. There's a hinge there and a hinge there, so pretty good degree. Also, there is a very good ankle tilt. So pretty good articulation for this figure. So let's get into, of course, some quick comparisons. So here is Rodimus Prime with his mentor and predecessor, Optimus Prime. So there we go. Looks very, very cool. I'm actually really glad I was actually finally able to get these 2 figures. Optimus Prime was actually a lot of pain to find and track down. Rodimus Prime I actually got from GameStop, and it was really fast and easy. It wasn't, it was a retail price, which is nice. I'm not sure if it's still there now. I've actually had this figure for quite a long time, so I am not too sure if it's still in stock. And here he is with his Nemesis Galvatron. And that's kind of like $1 million look right there, That looks really cool. It would be so nice if I had, HasLab Unicron, but of course that figure was a HasLab again, and also it was like $600, which I don't have that kind of money, so that is unfortunate, but still, it is very cool to finally put Rodimus and Galvatron next to each other. Not sure where I'm going to display Rodimus Prime, still figuring that out. Maybe he'll be next to Galvatron, I'm not too sure. Let's move Optimus, and I do have one more quick comparison. And I think you probably know which one it is. Here he is with Ultra Magnus. So we have probably the 3 most popular figures or characters of the 3rd season of the Transformers G1 show. So this looks very good. We have Kingdom Leader Class Wave 2 Ultra Magnus. We have Kingdom Commander Class Rodimus Prime, and we have Kingdom Wave 3 Leader Class Galvatron. Probably my favorite between these 3 is Galvatron, I would have to say. I do like Rodimus. There's a few problems here and there, but overall good figure. But yeah, definitely my favorite between these 3 is Galvatron. Let me know, between these 3 of the very classic G1 characters from the old series, which one do you like the most? Ultra Magnus, Rodimus Prime, or Galvatron? So that's pretty much it for this figure. Let's get into some final thoughts. Thoughts for this character. I think overall this figure it's pretty good. The vehicle mode, I think it's really good. Nice paint apps. Semi-okay storage. Of course, the sword does just store on the bottom. And of course, that could cause paint chips depending on what surface you put it on. It rolls very well, of course, without all the accessories on it. The gun could be better stored, really just slap it on the side, but putting on the fin does look pretty good. Nice blast whip pieces. Really like the inclusion of the Matrix and the Matrix of Leadership blast whip piece. Really glad that was included because I was not going to pick up the 86 Studio Series Hot Rod, so that's really nice. There's a second opportunity to get that piece. Transformation, really, I would say, is the biggest problem. Sometimes it can be kind of a pain and a little bit fiddly, like you saw when I was trying to tab in those sections. It's a little bit hard sometimes. I do apologize if that was a little annoying to see, so just kind of skip through that. But yeah, okay transformation. You might just have to do it a few times to get used to it. Overall, it is pretty easy, just somewhat not very smooth at times. Robot mode, just really amazing. Really like all the accessories, how they incorporate the sword. Looks really good in his hand. The flame piece does look cool. It's just I do really wish it was red. But the colors, very G1. Head sculpt looks amazing. Articulation is pretty good. I really do like how the fingers are all very well articulated. The 3 of the fingers are all just one piece, but still pretty good articulation. And very nice how you can have him hold the rifle. Pretty cool storage how you can put the sword on his back. That looks really cool. So yeah, just overall a very good figure. Let me know in the comments which one of the commander classes do you like the most. Of course, Rodimus Prime here, Jetfire from Siege, or Skylynx from Earthrise. I think probably my favorite is Jetfire. Just his he's just an amazing figure. I have no problems with it at all, but that doesn't make this figure bad at all. It is an amazing figure. Highly suggest to pick it up. And yes, there is that question that everyone's asking: is it worth what you what you pay? Is it worth about $85? I don't know. I think, in my personal opinion, yes, I do think it's worth $80, but of course people do have their own opinions, so let me know, do you think this figure is worth about $85, really just depending on where you live? I paid about $85 for it, maybe $90 with tax, so let me know. And I think that's it. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you next time.